Miyamura and Horimiya, Leon and Pokemon Journeys, Yuri and Fire Emblem Three Houses, Larkberg and Rising of the Shield Hero, Kaigaku and Demon Slayer. If you don't read the manga, don't look him up yet. He's very spoilers. Riker and Rune Factory 5, Carmine and Lost Ark when we all played it for a week. Jed and Final Fantasy Origins, Strangers of Paradise, you know where they say chaos. Kuga and Food Wars, Tatsuya Shiba and Irregular at Magic High School, which always surprises me when people actually know that one. Shallot and Dragon Ball Legends, Mark and Chris Lahif in Miraculous Ladybug, Namasa Sukauchi in My Hero Academia, and most recently, Mugino and Boruto. Yeah.
Burrito.
Boruto. Yeah, I'm Konohamaru's best friend that wasn't in the original.
You weren't like one of like the trio.
No, I wasn't.
Man.
But I was still his best friend. I'm still his best friend.
Hi, I'm Hayden Daviau. I'm also a voice actor. I'm your resident non-binary. I'm non-binary. I use they, them pronouns just for your information. What?
Well, yeah. I don't know if everybody would understand non-binary.
That's why I explained it, bro.
Well, there you go.
I'm best known for my work as Rina Tenoji in Love Live Nijigasaki High School Idol Club, Priestess in Goblin Slayer. I'm Reen Vispose in Our Last Crusade or Rise of a New World. Yasuko Koenji in The Helpful Fox Senko-san. I have my cheat sheet here.
They're pictures.
It's pictures. Arc Royal and Eldridge in Azure Lane the Animation, and most recently, I was Amelia Ruth in The Case Study of Vanitas.
Yeah.
And young Rosinante in heckin' One Piece, and some other stuff in One Piece that I can't remember.
Oh yeah, I'm also in One Piece as possibly the ugliest character in the entire show.
I think it's one of my favorite characters.
And that's saying a lot, because there are a lot of ugly characters in One Piece, but I guarantee you, I voice possibly the ugliest character in One Piece. His name is Treble, and he goes, Doofy, Doofy. And I promise you, he's grotesque, because his powers are mucus.
It's
mucus.
So uncomfortable, but it's probably one of my favorite
moves are sticky, sticky, bro. Anyway, he's disgusting. And it's always funny when people are like, man, you voice a lot of hot characters. And I'm like, I beg to differ. So yeah, what is this, voicing?
It's just voiceover Q&A, so if you got questions, we might have answers.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Voice actor Q&A. We're actors. You might have questions. We might have answers. Or go on tangents. So if you have questions, please raise your hand. If you don't, this is going to be a very awkward panel. But I mean, hey, hasn't it already been awkward? It's me, Chris Pratt. And we'll start over here. I don't think I've
ever forgotten. I've definitely walked into the wrong booth when we were still in person at Funimation.
I mean, we walked into the wrong panel 10 minutes ago.
That's true. But heckin', no, I've never forgotten. I've forgotten after. I got like a ping on like my voiceover wiki, and it was just like, yeah, you were in this show. I'm like, was I? I don't remember doing that.
I think the only time I've ever, like, quote-unquote forgotten is when I'm voice matching.
Yeah, that's
when I'm voice matching, for those of you who don't know, voice matching is just the fanciest way of saying impersonating someone. But it's to a point where you are essentially mimicking the voice to a degree where folks shouldn't be able to tell them apart. Like, for example, Mick Wingert, he usually voice matches Jack Black. So whenever you hear Poe in Kung Fu Panda, and you're like, man, I can't believe they got Jack Black to do this silly Fruit Loops commercial or whatever. It might not be him. It might be Mick Wingert, and he's just that good of his job. But that's probably the few times that I've forgotten the voice or, like, the character, just because it's like, oh, well, he's not, like, my character, especially when I'm first starting to get into the voice matching job, because I've recently had to cover for my buddy Billy Kometz, who unfortunately has stage 4 cancer, which sucks. He's doing good, though. But I always have a clip of him, like, whenever I'm about to do a line. Like, they won't know. Like, the director doesn't know because I have it, like, only on my end and to specific parts. because I'm trying to match like his yells and stuff, and I'm like, all right, let me just hear what he. And Billy, like, he'll like scream from like lower end from the back of his throat. So I was like, okay, let me see if I can match that a little bit. So, yeah, that's the only times I would say. Hope that answered your question. All right, you pick.
You in the back. Hello.
Oh, that's fair. Also, can I just say, when we were waiting downstairs, I thought you were an actual cop. Yeah. Yeah, I was like, because I saw you talking to security, and I was like, oh, damn, it's getting serious.
Like, oh no.
It ain't that deep. Yeah, oh. Well, I appreciate that. Do you want to start?
Yeah. In anime specifically, or like game-wise, because
I know your answer for anime.
Well, I know you know my answer for
Yeah.
anime. I expect you to. It took me about, so I'll just say anime-wise, took me about 6 months, I want to say, since starting at Funimation, or now Crunchyroll.
Formerly Funimation,
Formerly
now
Funimation,
Crunchyroll.
now Crunchyroll.
That is how it is said.
Crunchimation, if you will. But it took me about 6 months, I'd say.
Yeah,
from when I
it's
moved.
very funny because when they first moved, I told them, I'm like, yeah, it might take a bit. I'd say give or take 6 months, and then you'll start booking like crazy, I bet. And the first thing they book is their first lead
Yeah.
in an anime.
So
And I was like, wow,
Wow.
I was right.
Shut up.
I didn't say what it was.
I know. Yeah, the first thing I did bit-wise was bed and breakfast for spirits, I want to say. I did like an impromptu audition with Tia Ballard after one of his sessions. She's like, hey, we have some time. Come read for me. So I read for her. That got me on the list. And then 6 months later, I got called in for the audition for Goblin Slayer. And we spent a really, really long time on like Priestess specifically. And I came out of that booth, I was like, they asked so much of me. They asked me to redo this line so many times. I was terrible. I'm terrible. I'm not gonna book this show, it's fine. But I got to read and I'm happy about it. Because essentially our job as actors, like booking the job is like the highlight and that's the really fun stuff, but our job is essentially auditioning. So I was like, cool, I got to read and we'll see. We were at, I think it was MomoCon, Dallas. And I got the email. It's like, hey, we need you for 6 hours. They didn't tell me what I was doing. And I was like, I don't know what they need 6 hours for, but yes, please. And I got in the booth and my director, Tabitha, she was like, did they tell you what you're doing?
They never tell you.
They very rarely tell you. You just kind of go in and sometimes you'll find out and it's a fun surprise. But yeah, no, it took me about 6 months.
Yeah.
Outside of that, what about you, baby?
For me, I moved to Dallas in September of 2015, and I got my first audition with Funny in October, and I read for Fairy Tale. And I didn't book any of the characters I read for, but I did book Drake the Sniper, the only man in that show that has no magic and has a gun. What a legacy, baby, in a world of magic. Yeah, that was my very first thing. And I remember I was so excited because I loved Fairy Tale and Hiro Mashima that it was a 3-hour session. And then I was so excited that when I got home, I was so fueled on adrenaline, I gave myself a fever. It was fantastic. Yeah, my friend was so scared for me. And I was like, it's fine. The fever lasted like a day at most. It was probably a couple hours. But it was very funny.
Yeah, I didn't get a fever, but I had an adrenaline crash. I remember coming into your office at home, and I was like, oh, it was great. It was a really good session. And I sat there, and it just crashed. And you're like, you're tired, huh? I'm like, uh-huh.
Yep.
It's like, I'm going to go take a nap.
It takes a lot of you, yeah.
Yeah, and especially for a show being Goblin Slayer, I'm like, that's really emotionally draining.
Yeah. I was like, hey, what's up, losers?
And I'm like, screams.
Yeah, no, they're going through trauma.
React. Cry.
Yeah.
Cast magic. Did it.
Yep. Hope that answered your question. You also had a second half, though.
Yeah.
Thank you. Half thank you.
Test. 1, 2, 1, 2. Checking the mic. Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Hi again. So if you didn't land a role before you started at Funimation, how did you start with Funimation then?
Well,
Did you just have an audition reel that you sent them, and they said, "Yeah, we'll get you on board," or what happened?
For me, it was a little of everything. Well, before I got into funny, I had auditioned for like stuff online. Like the very first thing I think I like booked in the indie space was probably there was a visual novel known as "Seduce Me, the Otome."
Was it not Voice AU?
I guess so.
Yeah, it
but
was
like that never
opera
came
for
out,
it,
so
yeah.
I don't count it.
That's fair.
Yeah, but like there's this "Seduce Me, the Otome" game, and I voiced one of the boys, and I hear it back, and I was like, man, that I could do so much better now. But other than that, it was there's the thing that really helped was there was this game called Freedom Planet, and I got to voice in that, and a couple of people from there, like Don and Bennett, primarily, we were friends, and they were one of the reasons why I moved to Texas, and I also had a bunch of other friends over there, but they kind of like introduced me to Joel McDonald, who needed, at the time when he worked at Funimation, formerly Funimation, now Crunchyroll, he would be in One Piece Hell. So essentially, he was one of the 2 directors at the time, if not the sole director at the time, working on One Piece. And he's like, I need so many dudes. It's just, I don't have enough. And I'm like, oh, I knew.
I'm a dude.
I'm a guy. And that kind of like got me in a little bit. And then, but yeah, it was like, I submitted my demo reel, I got recommended. It was like a bunch of variables. Yeah, but I had taken classes and experience before that.
Yeah, I'd also been booking stuff in the indie space before moving to Texas and going to Funimation. The first thing I did was, like, my first major thing was probably Kiana in Honey Pop, if anyone remembers that game from way back when. Crowning achievement. I love that game. I beat the alpha. Anyway, I don't know why I'm still proud, but I am. I also did Seduce Me 2, The Demon War, where I was a little gender fluid fairy. They're super cute. Yeah, I love them. Their name was Faye. They're great.
Mine was Sam.
Sam.
What a name.
No, I was a fairy demon who was gender fluid, and they were super cute. I win. But
I was an incubi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were the best route. I'm pretty sure you were the true ending. So you're the canon route.
That's right, baby. Take that, Jonah Scott.
Damien.
Yeah, he's also in that.
Yeah, he's also in that game. That's early days of our friendship.
Yeah.
If not Attack on Space. I did a lot
Oh,
of.
that's all you.
Yeah, I did a lot of indie audio dramas. I wrote and produced audio dramas. I did a lot in the Percy Jackson fandom. Is kind of where I thrived.
Yeah.
I was producing the Percy Jackson audio drama, but then I got really busy and I don't have time. But I still want to go back. One day I'll go back and do it for funsies. But and then we met. And I was like, well, I've got a dude in Texas. I guess I could go hang out with him,
Yeah.
I suppose. And I had a lot of friends living in Texas as well. And I was living and working in Vancouver for a while, so I was studying acting, working in coffee shops, and just started doing live action dubbing there. So I got my feet wet in the dub industry. I did, I think, 3 or 4 shows at a studio called Azure Productions in Vancouver, Canada. And then, so with that, I had that on my resume, and years of theater training and voiceover acting classes, scene study classes, and then I decided to try the immigration thing and get a work visa for the United States, which, let me tell you, is a lot. It's doable. It's very doable. I had very minimal credits coming here the first time, so I was able to do it, because that plays a big part in that process. But I managed to make it down to Texas, and
now we don't live there anymore.
And now we don't live there anymore. But
now we're in California.
But yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Like we did stuff beforehand.
Yeah.
Is the short version.
Hope that answered your question. Okay, we'll go you and then Joe. Cool. I have a mic. You wait for the mic. That's the talking stick.
This was. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
This is dangerous to give me a microphone, though. So understanding you can't predict the future, if you had to place money on the future of remote recording, where do you think it's going?
You're a mother.
Ooh.
So,
You're
so,
very-
so for context,
Yeah.
if for those of you who don't know, when it comes to voiceover, it has gone through like a roller coaster of like evolution in the past like 2-3 years. So before the vid, everything was local. If you wanted to be in a Funimation project, you had to be in Dallas, formerly Funimation Headquarters. If you wanted to be in like a Bang Zoom property, which they dub most of like Aniplex properties, at the time they did like One Punch Man, they did JoJo, they've done a bunch of stuff. You had to be local to LA. And if you, at the time, way back when, if you wanted to do Pokemon, you had to be in New York. Like that was the thing. When the vid happened, something magical happened. Apart from, terrible deaths and, in the voiceover space, the thing that happened was we had to adapt like the rest of the world. And remote recording happened. So it didn't matter where you lived. As long as you had a good recording space, if you had a good quality mic, you could be in the UK and record for a Funimation property. You could be in Australia and record for a Funimation property. And I don't know how they got away with that, with the paperwork, but that's not my problem. I don't do that. But the point is that happened. But now that things are dying down, they're not, but that's the joke. Anyway, everything wants to be remote again. LA's a little bit of a hybrid thing where they're like, you can be remote, but there are some things we'd prefer you to be in person. Mm-hmm. But if you want to do any anime, because I know that a lot of folks want to do anime, especially now because, it's gotten so much bigger, you have to be local to Dallas because that's where Crunchyroll's dubbing studios are. And if anyone who's been keeping track of this past season or the current season of anime that's currently being dubbed, you'll notice that there's just like Dallas actors, which I don't think is a bad thing. I love my Dallas homies. But you'll notice that it's like these diverse casts that you've seen. Like, it's like, oh, you got someone from like LA, you got someone from New York, you got someone from Oklahoma. All right. Like just from all over the place. And now not so much. So it's just because for audio consistency. That's what I'm led to believe. I don't know the actual reasons. It could be 50 other things. But it's probably due to audio reasons just because there are so many different audio qualities. Mm-hmm. That's why they want everything remote, because they want to keep it consistent. Again, that's just my hypotenuse. That's also the dumb way I say hypothesis. But I think, I'm not telling anybody if you want to do anime voiceover or whatever, move to Dallas immediately. Don't do that. See how it plays out, because you don't know. And the next, it could change next season. It could change in a year. It might take 5 years. I mean, if it takes 5 years, then maybe move. But what I'm saying is, I don't think it's forever. I think they've found that remote recording, not just for like Crunchyroll, but for just every studio, has found some merit to it, because there are a lot of people that are immunocompromised. So they'll be like, oh, it's kind of messed up that we're not letting folks record from home, and then that just kind of, defeats the purpose. I will say, I believe in the future there will be a hybrid, but I think the requirement for what you're set up at home will have to be a lot higher.
Yeah.
Because they were a lot of studios were very lenient. And like what you had, it's like, oh, you're recording from your closet? Great, that's fine. Oh, you have this mic? That's fine. Now they'll probably be very like, you have to have this mic, this setup. It's the only way. Like, I'm assuming, again, this is all just fiction. Voice actor. Anyway. Yeah, that's my speculation.
Yeah,
the standards are going to be a little higher.
Yeah, I think the standards are going to go up. And, when we first started doing remote recording, like through Crunchyroll, like the very beginning, they gave
people kits.
They gave local actors kits. So they had like the same mic. We were using iPads to place our own lines. It was an experience.
Yeah.
Engineering for yourself after being so used to having an engineer do it. It's a little humbling, actually.
I never had the kit.
No, we never had the kit at home.
I had to use Adobe Premiere,
Yeah.
which I've never used to
Dub.
record anything in my life, like audio-wise. And it was so funny. I'm like, man, thank God I assisted directed once, because I have an okay eye for flaps. And we do a line, and the director who's directing me, they're like, how'd that fit? And I'm waiting, and I'm like, oh, you're asking me? Oh, hold
Yeah.
on.
Let me make sure it fits.
And I have to make sure, and I'm like, nah, that was short. We got to do it again. And it's like, you sure? And I'm like, yeah. It's like coming off like a flap short. It's like double flap at the end. And no, we got to do it.
We have a stray flap in the middle.
Yeah, and they have to trust us. They
Yeah.
have to, because at the time they couldn't see. Like even if we
And they
screen
couldn't hear
shared.
playback either,
Yeah,
which was
that was also the other thing.
that was the worst part.
They
I
didn't hear
think.
playback. Yeah, it was a whole thing, but they've learned, and now it's a little better. But I hope that answered your question. Yeah, and you had a question? Cool. What's your question? All the way up front, right here.
Very happy seeing more like trans and non-binary voice actors popping up all over. So that makes me happy. I'm non-binary myself.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So so it makes me really happy to see that. My question is basically like any advice for like gaining more like confidence in your own voice, because like I've been like taking class like acting classes and all of that, and like I've been learning, but then whenever I like do an audition for a project, I'm always like, oh, I can do this better. And then I end up sitting there for like hours trying to figure out like, and then it gets to the point where it's just like, I'm spending so much time on this. I just
Yeah.
need to like make a decision and all of that.
Well, we're all our own worst critics, obviously. I'm gonna tell you a funny story. I read for Black Clover when it first came out, right? And it was either this
Right.
past year or
It was-
last year.
It was this year.
I listened to those auditions because I was streaming, and I thought, wouldn't this be a dumb idea? And it was. I listened to those auditions, and I was like, man, no wonder I didn't get cast. This sounds like crap. I feel like you'll never be satisfied at first, and even but I think when you hear your voice enough, and then like once you're accustomed to like, performing, and rather than, you'll start focusing on your voice as much, and it just gets easier with time.
I would say my biggest advice is, I see, got a fancy little iPad there. We all have like Androids or iPhones. Something that really helped me was just getting used to reading out loud and recording myself. And and don't even have to perform the line, just read it. Just read it out. It's
Yep.
like, the dog went for a walk today. Just really, or read out like text messages or dumb Tumblr posts, if we still remember Tumblr.
Not
Listen,
anymore.
there's residuals and it's still hilarious. But just get used to playing your voice back to yourself. Stuff like that, it really, really helps. And just get used to reading out loud. And if you don't have an iPhone, like you might see like singers do this, they'll plug one ear, because then you can, it sounds like a little bit clearer. And it's easier to hear your voice back, because when you're just talking, your voice is just
Yep.
rattling around in your skull. And how you sound to yourself when you're talking is not how you actually sound.
It's deeper.
It is my voice. I thought I sounded like a dude for most of my life. And then I heard my voice on playback when we had to basically do audiobooks in my elementary school to get us used to reading out loud and to help with like public speaking, which was great. But I heard myself back. I was in like grade 4, I want to say. And I was like, that doesn't sound like me. That is way too high. But yeah, listening to your voice on like playback, getting used to reading out loud, just reading anything. Pick up a newspaper if you feel like being spicy.
The dog went to to a
Went
mall.
for a walk. The quick brown fox.
No, they went to a mall.
They went to a mall. What were they doing at the mall?
They bought snacks.
What kind of snacks?
Greenie.
Oh, what kind of greenies?
The bone ones.
Were they like the blueberry ones that our dog hated?
No.
Okay.
They're original.
Oh,
'Cause the blueberry ones taste like crap.
you would know.
Yeah, I would. I tried it.
Did you try one?
No!
Okay, I was like, wait. We bought blueberry greenies for our dog, and he hated them.
Unrelated to voiceover.
Unrelated to
whatsoever.
voiceover. I'm just like, wait, what? I wouldn't be surprised, but what?
The funniest part about it was he would attack the greenie, and then he'd be like, "Ah."
He's a
I had this
corgi,
whole,
so-
like, just watching it, because he was so excited for the greenie, he'd take a bite and just be like,
Ugh.
what? And then he'd still eat it reluctantly. He'd just be like,
Yeah, we have a corgi, so these expressions are basically the faces he made.
Yeah.
So, but I hope that helps.
Yeah.
And we'll be at our booths pretty much all weekend, so if you have any other questions and stuff like that, feel free to come by.
Thank you.
yeah. What's up,
Pikachu.
Pikachu?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm getting over a sore throat, so I apologize if I'm difficult to understand. I'm also an aspiring voice actor.
Mhm.
I mostly do like battle cries and things like injuries and animal noise, because I was told that there's a lot of work in that, and possibly more work than phrases, because voice actors hate doing those for 6-8 hours a day.
That's right.
Do you have any simple advice?
Don't yell from your throat.
Yell from your diaphragm.
That's the best advice I can give you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll save your vocal cords, and you'll yell for a lot longer.
Were you being a bit facetious when you said it's about 6 months to book your first gig?
Wait, what?
No, not at all. It was about 6 months, and then that's just in the anime space. In auditioning for like cartoons and video games, you're going to be auditioning for a lot more and waiting a lot longer, because production goes a little bit slower in those spaces. So if you're
Yeah.
wanting to read for like video games and doing like battle cries and stuff like that, in that genre, you will be waiting a little bit longer. Because I know you said you booked, like you read for something in like February and didn't hear for like 6 months.
Yeah, I read for The Last of Us Part 2 in January of 2019.
Yeah, we were still in our Texas apartment.
And I didn't get called in to record it until May.
Are there any people in the industry that you look up to very much and inspire your profession?
Matthew Mercer. Also Ray Chase. Ray Chase has an incredible voice. A lot of people, actually. Like, literally, I just thought of like 5 more names.
I'm like, I could make a list.
Yeah. Top 2, bro.
Oh, man. Laura Bailey is someone, because by mimicking her lust voice in, like, my bedroom, watching, like, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, be like, oh, I
Yeah.
like this character, she's cool, is how I, like, learned to do, like, lower voices. So Laura is a huge inspiration to me, and also, yeah, I'm going to say this publicly, J. Michael Tatum. I'm outing myself.
We're laughing because he's our friend.
He's our friend. I look after his dogs. He can never know, but someday he'll know.
You know this is live streamed, right?
No, I know.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, yo, Clippers. Someone clip this and add J. Michael Tatum.
Clippers in chat. Do it. Out me. Do it. I have to
Right.
at some point. I'm not. I won't do it to his face.
Yeah,
Heckin', no, his work on of all shows, not like Black Butler
Oh.
or on High School Host Club. Sergeant Frog, if anyone remembers that show, it is one of my favorite anime of all time. It's so good, but his work on that show, for some reason, that was the moment where I'm like, I want to do that. I'm already an actor. I want to do that. And I want them to bring the show back so bad, because that's a dream role. There's a character named Elisa Southern Cross. She's an alien, or she's a doll who was made alive by an alien. It's weird. Sergeant Frog's weird, but I'm like,
That's way
role.
past where I watched.
Yeah, I read the manga.
The 2 for me, man, I guess, that's so tough. Matthew Mercer, obviously one of them.
Yeah.
But bro, man, I'm struggling here. I'm like thinking of like 50 names.
Jack Black.
Yeah, Jack Black. There you go.
I
Jack
got
Black.
you.
Jack Black. Yeah, Bowser. I got really excited about that, actually. Yes,
Yes.
right here.
I like your Emil shirt. I love
Thank you very much.
I haven't played Nier yet, but I know it's Nier.
How dare you?
Yeah, I was actually gonna say, I know you voice the robot cowboy.
Demos.
from-
I voiced Demos in Nier Reincarnation, yeah.
So what I wanted to ask was, how does recording for like mobile games differ from anime in any way, like scheduling,
It-
etc.?
So every game records differently, especially JRPGs, or just like Japanese, like any game. Because like for Nier, I didn't hear the Japanese beforehand. They were like, okay, here's like a reference, and then it's essentially an audiobook. And then it's like, the clockwork man then said, he approached the boy, and the boy stood still. Like, it was essentially that. And I had to do that, and it was great because I did it in the morning, so my voice was even deeper. And I was like, yeah. But for like Dragon Ball Legends, for example, we'll listen to the Japanese and then we'll go for it. For Fire Emblem Three Houses, I didn't do that, or for Heroes. So they're just like, okay, here's the length of this audio. You have to stay in this audio length, right? And I was like, okay. And if I go longer, we have to pick up the pace. Or if I go shorter, we gotta elongate it a little bit. So every game varies. Yep.
Yeah, I did a project recently where they didn't give us like any timing or anything like that. Like we didn't hear the original Japanese or anything. It was just like, okay, go.
Yeah.
Here's generally, we're gonna set the voice. It's like, okay, they're gonna be like a little bit softer, more ethereal. Here you go, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And it's very much in the, like in anime dubbing, we usually, I know it's different at Sentai Filmworks,
No.
but we use the beep method. So it's like beep, 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 and where the fourth like imaginary beep is when you'd start the line. In video games, I don't know how
There
it
are no
was.
beeps.
There's no beeps. I'm like, I don't know what your experience was on like Fire Emblem and stuff like that.
No
but
beeps.
no beeps. It's just kind of, okay, go.
No capes.
Go whenever you're ready, which is a little terrifying when you've been dubbing for the last like 5 years.
To quote Priestess, you get used to it.
You get used to it. Which has become a staple line in my life because it's so true.
You get used to it.
You get used to it, man. But yeah, it's just kind of free reign, which is terrifying but really exciting at the same time.
Yeah.
I like it, and I want to do more right now.
Hope that answered your question.
Yay!
We got the Demon Slayer.
What's up,
Tanjiro.
Tanjiro?
Quick question, what do you give advice to someone who started, voice acting, this year? Like, for example, I started in a project for school. What advice would you give to them?
I mean, just keep at it. Like, if it's what you want to do, for sure, keep going. I mean, I started because a friend asked me, and I didn't even know what voice acting was when he asked me to do it. He's like, hey, can you be a cop? And I'm like, bro, I'm 14. And
Not legally.
And I was like, and he's like, just do it. And I was like, I don't even have a microphone. And he's like, you got Guitar Hero, right? And I was like, yeah. It come with a mic? And I'm like, yeah. You can plug it into the computer. And I was like, all right.
Bet.
And that's what I did. And I used a pitch filter because I was 14 and he wanted me to be a gritty cop. Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Give me your 14-year-old Alejandro Saab voice.
I am 14. No, that's
I'm Alejandro Saab. I'm 14. I'm playing a cop.
no. I don't know if it was like that. But I mean, it took me like a couple years to see if I even wanted to do it. And what I did then in like high school, I was a junior, and I was like, do I want to do this? I listened to like podcasts, like Voice Acting Mastery. I read books about it. I looked at documentaries and stuff like Bang Zoom's Adventures in Voice Acting. And then I took writing in theater senior year and drama. So, I mean, I would just say continue to take classes, like whether it be like improv, taking online workshops, like whatever. And if it is what you want to do, then keep doing that, because the thing with voice acting is it's about acting more than the voice, right?
Yeah, I'd say acting classes. Something that really helped me was scene study classes because they really go in depth of breaking down each line, learning the fundamentals of like why you're saying what you're saying, who are you talking to, where are you in this moment, where is the person in relation to you, would you be calling out to them, like would you be projecting to them. Scene study classes are really good for breaking all that down, just acting classes in general. Voiceover specific classes are great, but building up acting fundamentals is, in my opinion, the most important thing. I started in theater in like elementary school and like did a lot of community theater, musicals, things like that, and getting used to talking in front of people, because eventually you'll have to be in a booth, and performing in front of people is, it's terrifying at first. I still get like little baby stage fright. Like I'm doing auditions, I'm like, hey, I need you to put on like your noise canceling so I can just pretend you don't exist for a minute.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of it. Like you covered, improv classes are wonderful.
I'm sorry, I chuckled earlier because Hayden said, "Where are you?" And my brain went, "Where are you?" And I'm so sorry. Yeah, yeah. I'm a professional. I hope that answered your question. Yeah.
In the back.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey there.
Hi.
Awesome to be in the same room as you guys. What's
Oh,
up?
thank you.
I was just gonna ask, is there any sort of like voice acting guild, like online or anything like that?
Yeah, it's called SAG-AFTRA. I'm just.
Yeah.
What? It's a union. That's the same thing.
Yeah, there is. So our wonderful friend Kira Buckland runs the voice acting club.
That's a real answer, by the way.
Yeah. So there's the voice acting club. So there's a tons of different forums on there as well, and you can look up auditions. There's Q&As on there, and if you have like VO stuff to submit, you can submit to join the Discord.
Yeah.
And you'll either be accepted or rejected. It depends kind of where you are in like your voiceover stuff, and they want to know
Yeah.
that you're serious about it in order to add you to the Discord. There's also
There's
It's-
like weekly or monthly.
yeah, there's like weekly or monthly. They do like seminars.
Yeah, where they'll like bring in a guest, like to do like a Q&A essentially. I did one, and I was like, why am I here? Mainly because I always feel underqualified.
I feel that.
But yeah, they have like a bunch of like cool people. It's a good place for
Yeah,
sure.
there's voice acting club, and then it's not really a guild, but if you're wanting to audition for like small indie projects, casting call club exists.
Yeah.
I'd recommend the Voice Acting Alliance of ye old times.
No, the
of voiceover.
Voice
that
Acting
no
Alliance
longer
doesn't exist.
exists. That was where we started, way back. in
We're
the-
old.
In the early
Not really,
aughts.
but
We're-
kinda.
We're getting there.
It hurts me every time someone walks up to me and goes, "You were my childhood," and I'm like,
Like-
"Bro, I'm not that old. I'm 27."
Like,
I'm like, "What do you mean your childhood? I was probably a child with you. What do you mean?"
no, anytime it's like, I was born in 2003. I'm
That's like, I just thought about it. Unrelated. That's like if like if someone the same age as like Will Friedle walked up to him and it's like, "You were my childhood." And it's like, "How old are you?" And they're the same age, and he was just a really big fan of Boy Meets World.
It's like we were both children, but
Yeah. Anyway, that's my side
Yeah.
tangent. Any other questions? Hope that answered your question. Oh, you have a question. Hi.
they're coming round the mountain.
It always surprises me when tech has questions. What's up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So regarding multiple languages, are there opportunities for multilingual speakers? So
Bro,
can you be
I'm Latino. Hell yeah, there is.
so can you be the Japanese dub and the English dub at the same time?
Ooh, well, you would have to be in Japan for the Japanese kind of thing. It's also, that's a little trickier because it all depends. I have done both languages, but for promos, I did promos for the Nickelodeon show, The Patrick Star Show, and I did the English and the Spanish for that. So it's like, The Patrick Star Show, Fridays at 7. And it was like, The Patrick Star Show, los viernes a las 7 de la noche, or whatever. So there is a market for being bilingual, and not just for like Spanish, but also like German, Russian, etc. Yeah, it's tricky because like folks have asked me, it's like, have you ever dubbed anything in Spanish? And I was like, there's been like 2 things. One has been a game, and then technically an anime. In Megalobox, I had to redub for Pepe Iglesias, and I did that all in Spanish. But if I were to dub anything in Spanish, I think that recording space is in Mexico.
I think.
And that's specifically for the Latin American dub, because there's a European Castilian dub, and that I'm assuming is in Europe. But yeah, it's yes and no. It's like a lot harder than it should be, I think. But yeah, you can do it. And also, the one video game was I was the Spanish dub voice of Kevin Hart in the Jumanji video game.
Oh yeah, I kind of forgot about that.
Mouse Finbar. And I just remember saying, "Ay, Nicola," which is my butt, but yeah. It's specifically tail, but yeah. Anyway, any other questions? Oh, God, okay. We'll go, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go with Killua.
Killua first, then we'll make our way.
We'll make our way downtown.
Okay. I know a lot of times people will ask voice actors like who their favorite character is, and they're always like, oh, well, I've got an attachment to like all the characters. What I want to know is, do either of you have like a character that you hated?
Treble from One Piece. That's not true, actually. But I'm sorry. Who we hate?
Yeah, like you hated voicing them, or it was like difficult for you to voice them, or like you just didn't like the character and like regretted getting the part.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't regret the part. I just hate how gross he is. Other than that, I was in the show called Handshakers.
Oh yeah.
And that show, I'm like, I could have done without this one. Mainly because I just felt uncomfortable that my character steps on his like girlfriend, and I'm just like, I didn't like that.
It's your earliest girlfriend.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Ooh, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, I jokingly say that I dislike Treble, but I loved being Treble. Because, I mean, the voice I do for Treble is just drunk Fozzie Bear. Because, like, I mean, my Fozzie Bear voice is like, waka waka, and then if you just become a little drunk bit, like, yeah.
I don't think I have any characters.
That's
that I've
fair.
hated. I love all my babies. I love them so much. And we were talking about non-binary characters earlier. I'm like, they were such like a small bit. I don't remember their name, but there was like this video game show that my director Tabitha had me in, and they're like, hey, I have this character. They're non-binary. They have like 5 lines. You're the only person that I want to be this character. I was like, yes. Let me be non-binary in anime. That's all I want. I don't think I have any characters that I hate.
I mean,
I love every
that's
single
good.
baby.
You shouldn't.
No, I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful every time I step in the booth.
Cool. Hope
Any
that answers your
other
question.
questions?
We had here and then him, but we'll go here and then make our way.
Yeah. You pick a BB.
5 minutes? Okay, cool.
5 minutes.
Speed round.
Other than character, what's your favorite and least favorite type of voice acting?
I'm like okay with like live action dubs. Like doing them, not watching them. That's different. I don't know. I'm just like, because my experience has been that like it's been me. I don't know. But that's pretty much it. It's not bad, but I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have necessarily a least favorite. I was gonna say audiobooks, but it's only when I have to edit the audiobooks myself.
That's fair.
Because I've done quite a few, and I love doing audiobooks, but editing them is very tedious. But I'm also a perfectionist, so it's not a good mashup for me. But I think my favorite is probably video game voice acting. I've been very privileged to get to do a chunk of it in the last couple months, and I'm in love with it. I have had a different experience with live action dubbing, because when I started at Azure, I almost said Azure Lane. I was like, that's different entirely. Love it though. But cute boat girls, gimme, yay. But we were very, very particular at Azure about it, is like very particular about the mouth shapes and making sure it fit right. Because when you're watching live action dubs, sometimes it's a little disorienting if the mouths don't match or the timing's off. It's weird. It feels almost uncanny valley is probably
Sure.
the best way to put it, but being so specific with it, it gave me kind of a love for live action dubbing. And then we were in a movie, the trailer dropped recently, called Row 19, and at least in my experience for it.
That one was better.
That one was, yeah, we did that at Mark Grau, and that was really, we were very particular about it, and I was really about that.
Yeah.
But I don't think I have a least favorite outside of audiobooks, maybe.
Cool. How much time do we have left? 4 minutes?
3.
But I
Two.
was just given 2 different answers.
Juan.
Did you still have a question? Yeah. Okay. Cool. We'll go here. We'll try to answer. We only have 4 minutes, so if you have any questions, we'll try to be as fast as possible.
Working fast.
Out of the characters that you both voice, which ones would you say that you relate to the most and the least?
Ooh, quick fire answer. I relate to Rina Tenoji from Love Live so much. She has a lot of social anxiety, and she really, like, her whole thing is she wants to make connections with people, and being very socially awkward and like a little shy, but also wanting to connect with people is such a real thing for me. So getting to go there with her, especially for her focus episode, was really, really special. And the least, probably Arc Royal and Azure Lane, because she's insane. I think that's probably the best answer
Sure.
I can give. I don't know.
For me, it might be Miyamura and Horimiya. Just because there's a lot of like overlap with my own life, and I was like, oh, he's nice, but he also has very sad moments in life. I agree. As for the one I feel least like related to, there's a show called Hakata Tonkotsu Ramen,
Yeah.
and I voiced an assassin.
Oh,
And he just backstabbed his friend, and I'm like,
Literally.
I don't do that. Yeah,
I forgot about that show.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah. It was, I think, one of the first times I got to be a villain, which was really cool.
I think so. I watched you try to whistle in the booth. That's what I remember.
It's a different kind of whistle. Anyway,
I
any other questions? Okay, we have Lowell.
Law.
And then we have 2 minutes.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
I just wanted to ask where your booth is at.
What, my what?
Or our booth.
Oh, we're in the autograph section. So you know where the Walk of Fame is? We're in the opposite direction. So we're at the far end by the artist alley. And there's an autograph section with these 2 long tables. That's where we're at.
Yeah, there's like a sign that says autographs, and we're way at the back.
Yeah. If you see black curtains, we're on the other side of those.
We're hiding.
And I just hit my face on the mic. No one, I had to call it out. No, it was more my nose, but yeah. Cool, hope that answered your question. Any last questions? Because I think we have a minute. A single minute. Okay, we got Pikachu over here.
Pikachu.
And I think that'll be our last question of the day.
Do you have any advice working with people or a character that's just really, really frustrating?
Patience, man, breathe.
I was
breathe.
about to say, I'm like, deep
sorry.
breaths.
You just, I'm dealing with one right now.
I know it's a tough question, but
No.
I've heard some like behind the scenes stories of like actors who have worked for years, but like they just can't stand each other in real life.
Oh, you mean with like people?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't want to say names.
I mean, no, it's all about, there's a point in your career where you have to be professional. So no matter how much you dislike a person, if you're in the same work environment and you have to work with them, you're gonna have to suck it up and be a professional and breathe. Like, you know.
Honestly, yeah. It's deep breaths. Be willing to be patient with them and be patient with yourself. And if you don't like the person, even like just a little, I find the best thing is to not look for things to be upset about.
Yeah.
Because if you're already in like a kind of mood at somebody, it's really easy to nitpick everything they do. It's like, why'd they read it like that? And everything they do starts to tick you off.
I can hear your hair growing. I understand.
Yeah. But it's just deep breaths and be patient with them and yourself is probably the best
Yeah.
thing.
Well, that's the panel. Thanks for stopping by, everybody.
Thank you guys.